Sunday school class had just begun, and the teacher had politely asked me to stop poking my best friend David. And then she asked us, "What is a profit?" I immediately raised my hand, and I blurted out, "A profit is what you make when you sell something for more than you bought it for." I smiled. I was so confident with my answer. She looked at me chuckling and explained to me that we were talking about a different type of profit. I was only 6 at the time, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to go into business. I started out small, selling water, snacks, and overpriced golf balls to golfers at the local course. But from there, my ambitions grew. By 3rd grade, with a little help from my grandfather, I first started investing in the stock market. In 8th grade, my portfolio really took off when I invested in a 3D printer company, and doubling my money in the first month, I got pretty cocky. My next 2 investments weren't quite as sound. But I am proud to say that I've made, and unfortunately lost, thousands of dollars in the stock market. Now, I can't claim that I really know how to become rich off the stock market, or I'd be in the Bahamas right now, but I can give you a few tips about what not to do. So let's first start by explaining exactly what stock market is. The stock market is built off a list of companies. Each of these companies initially join the market by filing something called an IPO, or initial public offering. This is where a bunch of investment bankers gather around a table and value the company. It's a really complicated process, and at the end of the day, they decide how many shares this company will get and at what price. What is a share? A share, just like this one, is exactly what it sounds like. It's a share in the company. You're basically sharing the ownership of the company. Even though you might share 0.0000001% of the company, you're still entitled to participate in the success and the failure of that company. Now, enough definitions, let's get into how it really works. So here's an example, Apple. I'm sure we've all heard of this company, right? So say I want to buy 1 share of Apple stock, and it's worth $1,000. I give Apple 10 $100 bills, and they give me a certificate like this saying that I own 1 share of Apple stock. I don't look at that stock for 3 years. I go back and I want to sell it back to them. I say, "Hey, I want to sell you my share of Apple stock." And they say, "Well, here's what our company's done over the past 3 years. We haven't done very well. We aren't selling any more AirPods, Apple Watches, or iPhones. And our share value has gone from $1,000 to $5 in the past 3 years." I say, "Well, hey, I gave you $1,000. I want my $1,000 back." And they say, "Hey, that's not how it works. You've lost $995. Your initial investment of $1,000 has turned into only $5. So that's how it works on the low end of the spectrum. Say in an alternate universe, I buy another $1,000 worth of Apple stock, and in 3 years I come back. Their company's done the opposite. They've doubled in value. Then when I go to sell them my share of Apple stock, my initial investment of $1,000 has now doubled and become $2,000. That's basically how it works. So like I said before, I can't really promise you that I know how to become rich off this, but I can tell you some things that you don't want to do. So I present to you the don'ts and the don'ts of stock market investing. Don't number 1, don't put money in that you aren't willing to lose. If you need to buy a new car soon, if you need to buy a house, if you need to pay for college soon, don't invest that money. Even if you had the best investor in the world investing for you, there's still a chance that you're going to lose your money. So if you need something for financial security, immediately do not invest that. What this is great for is if you're investing for retirement or if you're investing for fun, because then you can really start to make a lot of money without taking a lot of loss. Here's to don't number 2. Don't rush into it, sleep on it, and don't be scared. Imagine walking up to home plate at Yankee Stadium and you've never swung a baseball bat in your entire life. You're going to look like a fool. The only difference between that and the stock market is you're going to look like a fool, but you're also going to lose all your money in the process. And you don't want to be scared. You want to sleep on it. When you find a stock or you find a company that you want to invest in, it might have great news one day, and the next day it might have bad news. Don't let that discourage you. Every day someone makes a great claim that the world's going to end, and sometimes they're pretty convincing. But so far I can tell you the world hasn't ended. So I'm going to bet that it's going to be here tomorrow. So when you do find those good stocks and those good companies that you like and you think are going to be good investments, look at them on all types of different days. Look at them over multiple weeks. Sleep on this financial decision. And you'll usually get a good consensus of, is this a good investment or is it not? Don't number 3, don't buy into fads. Fads are different than trends. Trends are great in the economy. Trends can tell you when to buy low and sell high, and you can do great and be very successful with them, but fads are different. Fads are like the latest Snapchat dance. By the time you start doing it, it's not cool. Just like an example called Bitcoin. I'm sure we've all heard of it. We might not know exactly what it is, but we have heard of it. I didn't really know what it is, and I put a bunch of money into it. That was a bad decision. I did it because it was a fad. And everyone I knew was saying, oh, this is the new gold mine. This is the new gold rush. Everybody's doing it. It's making everyone money. Well, it didn't make me any money. In fact, it took half my money. So that's a great thing that's a horrible thing about fads. A great rule of thumb on this one is the old saying, buy on the rumor and sell on the news, and you should be pretty okay. Don't number 4. Don't buy into one stock. Don't buy into 2. Probably don't even buy into 3. You need to buy into a lot of stocks. Diversify your portfolio. Great example of this is a company called General Electric. I'm sure many of us in here have a General Electric appliance in our home. All right. General Electric in 2000 was listed as a top grossing stock in the US economy, valued at $600 billion. That's a lot of money. In 2008, the company crashed and has never recovered. And you might be thinking, wait, a company that makes everything from jet engines to microwaves, how can that crash because of a bank recession? Well, in fact, they only were invested into one industry at that time, and that was their financial division. That carried their entire profit margin. And so in 2008, when all the banks crashed, so did their bank, and therefore their company did as well. The best rule of thumb when just diversifying your portfolio is invest in 5 different sectors. One in maybe food, one in entertainment, one in industry, one in tech, and maybe one in a startup. If you diversify your portfolio and invest in at least 5 different sectors, you should be safe, and you won't lose your money just by investing in one thing and a crash like the 2008 financial crisis. That brings us to our last don't. Don't number 5. Don't trade too often and just let it sit. A lot of us that are going to be investing are amateurs, and we don't have access to the top end and high end brokers that a lot of people have. People that are smart and really know what they're doing. So we're going to have access to this money 24/7. It's going to be on our phones and on our computers. What this means is that when it's going up, we're going to want to take the money out so that we have the profit. When it's going down, we're going to want to take the money out so that we can put it in something that's going up to make money. And the bad thing about this is 2 things will happen if you move your money around too much. First off, the fees will add up. Every time you move your money, even if it's from a bank account to a stock itself, you will have a fee. And if you keep moving it around a lot, those fees do add up and take out of your profit margins. Second thing that will happen is that if you have a bad day, and this ties into don't number 2 about not being scared, if your stock has a bad day and has multiple bad days, it may look like the world is ending for you as you're going to lose a lot of your money. But in fact, it probably won't, and it will recover. Just like the US economy after the Great Depression and 2008, it always will recover eventually. We're in this off with talking about how to really make money with long-term investing in indexes. This is an index. It's called the S&P 500. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of it. It's a list of 500 of the best stocks in the US economy. This is where you're going to find your Apples, your Googles, your Amazon, McDonald's, Walmart, all the best companies in the US economy. It's an exact mirror of the US economy itself. When you invest in something like this, you're investing in the prosperity of this nation. As you can see, from 1970 to 2015, it grew 97 times. Let's put this on some bigger numbers to quantify it. If you invested $1,000 45 years ago, today you would have $97,000. What that basically means is if you initially could have bought a model Corvette, now you can buy a real Corvette. And if you would just invest $10 a day for 5 years, in 45 to 50 years, you could be worth $4.2 million. Try retiring on that. If that doesn't get you interested in your financial well-being, I don't know what will. My biggest hope is that you got something great out of my talk. Have a good day and happy investing.